Okay, so another way, so this only works if there's rational answers. So if your answer is something like 2 plus or minus square root of 3 or plus or minus I squared 2, these answers are not rational, and this trick would not work to find them. But on these problems, this trick will work. 'Cause rational answer, you guys remember what rationals are? Something that can be written as A over B. No square roots, no imaginary. So, anyways. So we did this last year, you probably forgot. If there is a rational solution to this, then it's going to be factors of the last coefficient over factors of the first coefficient. So, first coefficient is 1, last coefficient is 1. So what are the factors of 1? What are the factors of 1? And actually the factors of 1 could be plus or minus on all these. So the only possible rational solutions are plus or minus 1. You guys remember that from last year? A little bit? Okay, anyway, we'll do another one, you guys will. So, how can I tell whether this is an answer or not? 1 over 1 is just 1, so. Well, you can just plug it in. You could use synthetic substitution if you wanted to. This one would be easy plug in 1, because what's 1 cubed? 1 minus 1 minus 1 plus 1. Is that a solution? Yes. That equals 0. So 1 is the solution. Negative 1, so this should normally have 3 solutions, right? However, the trick is sometimes the solution might be a double root or a triple root. Let's see if negative 1 works. Negative 1 minus 1 is negative 2. Yeah, it looks like negative 1 works too, actually. Anyway. We really only need to find one solution because, okay, if 1 is an answer, is a root, it's a 0 of the function, that means x minus 1 is a factor, and I can divide that by x minus 1 using synthetic division. So I'm putting 1 in the box. I'm dividing by x minus 1. 1 is the root, x equals 0. But yeah, I'm putting 1 in the box. And then 1, negative 1. Because what happens if I divide this by x minus 1? What's going to happen? I'm going to get an x squared polynomial. X cubed divided by x will give you an x squared. And we know how to solve x squareds. We know how to solve quadratics, right? With factoring or quadratic formula. So as long as we can get one answer out of this, we can get it down to an x squared. Now I did plug in negative 1. I know that's going to work too, but I don't know what the third answer is yet. Add down, multiply up, multiply up, add down, up. So if it didn't come out as 0, you did something wrong, because we know x minus 1 is supposed to be a factor. So this should divide perfectly. And remember that this stands for x squared plus 0x minus 1. So what two roots do I have here? It's a square minus a square. The x and plus or minus 1 are the factors. So this tells me that negative 1 and positive 1 also roots. Now, I already have 1 as a root, so that means 1 is a double root, but I don't think, they didn't ask us to graph these, so we don't have to graph it. Well, it's that first step that's new, so we probably need to focus on that. Actually, it looks like 15 is factorable again. But I'm going to use rational root theorem. 15 is in quadratic form. X is fourth, x squared 9. What two things joined to 9 that add up to -2? That would have worked. Alright, you guys remember what I said the first step is for rational? Oh, it's called rational root theorem. We do factors of 9 over factors of 1 in this problem. Of course, it has to be written in order for that to work. Like the biggest power needs to be up front, the constant needs to be in back. Factors of the constant over factors of the coefficient of the largest. Okay, what are the factors of 9? 1, 3, 9. And what are factors of 1? 1. Okay, oh yeah, all these could be positive or negative. So it's 1 over 1, 3 over 1, 9 over 1. So basically, got 6 options. I would probably plug in the ones first because they're the easiest. Yep. I plug in the ones first. So if I plug in 1 here, I get 1 minus 10 plus 9. Does that equal 0? If I plug in 1, what does that give me 0 here? As a question. Yes. 1 minus 10 plus 9. Yeah, that does equal 0. So 1 is a solution. It would be nice if I could find another solution. It could be that 1's a double root. I'll go ahead and divide. Yeah, let's get rid of that. I'll go ahead and divide by x minus 1. So I'll put 1 in the box. I know this is going to work. Remember, if there's missing terms on synthetic division, you need zeros. So 1, 0, -10, 0, 9. All right. And then multiply it up. Multiply up. Okay, so this stands for x cubed plus x squared minus 9x minus 9, and I want it to equal 0 again. You could try 1 again. I mean, I could use synthetic division to see if 1 worked again. Might as well. So 1 plus 1 minus 9 minus 9, does that equal 0? No. So 1 is not a double root. It only worked once. How about -1? That looks suspicious, like that might work. So you don't have to write it out like this and plug stuff in. I could have just plugged it in up here. If the remainder comes out as 0, that means it worked. So I'll do it that way. Add down, multiply up, add down, multiply up, add down, multiply up. Oh, look at that. For this to work though, it's very important that you don't make a mistake because you could be looking forever. So be careful. Kind of like if you're playing hide and seek and you thought you already looked in the closet, nobody was in there, but they were in the closet all along. You'll never find them. Does that make a lot of sense to you? Just had a childhood flashback. All right.
Oh, wait, what?
X squared, I just had a childhood memory. I was hiding in the truck, like on the floorboard. My brother looked in, he didn't see me. He never found me. All right. Anyways, I'm getting off topic here. So this is squared minus the squared. negative one works, so I guess all our answers would be these four. All right, so on 17, what are the possible answers? Or how do I start? How did we start 13 and 15? Factors of 2. Right. You guys see where she got that from? Factors of 2 over factors of 3. Factors of 2, 1 times 2. Factors of 3, 1 and 3. So it could be 1 over 1, 2 over 1. 1 or 2. But it could be 1 over 3, let's hope not, or 2 over 3. I would definitely check the whole numbers first, or integers first, I should say, because those are also negative, before I check the fractions, but we're going to peek. This is an x cubed. It's a cubic function. So if we can get one answer, then we can just like factor to get the last two answers, or use quadratic formula. Not all of these factor, I don't think. Yeah, 19, for example, after we get the first answer, it won't factor. We'll have to use quadratic formula. Okay. I didn't write down the problem. If we plug in 1, would it work? 1's easy just to kind of plug in normally. So if we plugged in 1, it would be 3 minus 4 minus 5 plus 2. I don't believe that would add up to 0. If we plugged in negative 1, we'd get negative 3. Negative 1 squared, positive 1 times negative 4 is negative 4 minus 4 plus 5. Negative 5 times negative 1 plus 2. Does that equal 0? Okay, negative 1 is going to work, which is good news. I'll have to keep checking all these. So I'm going to divide with the negative 1 in the box. I'm dividing by x plus 1, basically, is what's happening. Negative 1 is the root, but x plus 1 would be the factor that I'm dividing by. 3, negative 4, negative 5, 2. Alright, and then feel free not to share.
I might have to run down here. If that happens,
I'm sure Luke will appreciate that. Because it's recorded. And all my millions of followers will probably see it too. Okay, anyways. I believe this one will factor. 3 times 2 is 6, and 1 times 1, that could get us to 7. If you don't like factoring, you can use quadratic formula. Do not have to factor. Sometimes quadratic formula is the only thing you can do. So I want to get it to negative 7. So if I use negative 2 here, that's negative 6. And negative 1 here, that's negative 1. They multiply to positive 2. And when you do outside, inside, they add it to negative 7. So x could equal 2, 1/3, and negative 1. Any questions on this? Is it making sense? Or you just will ask me later not to bring attention to yourself. All right. Uno más. So x to the fourth. Well, I said on this one that factoring's kind of spoiled the surprise. Factoring's not going to work. Looks like 20. I'll just tell you guys, factoring is also not going to work after we find the first answer. Ooh, 19's a doozy. Good thing we're doing this one together. Is 20 that bad? Yeah, 20 is the same idea. Okay, that's fine. I'll just tell you 20's like this one. Okay, so how did we start on 19? Elena, what's our first move on 19? Factors of, well, you don't have to put -3. The factors of 3 are 1, 3, plus or minus 1, plus or minus, or it could be -3, -1. So it doesn't, you don't really need to put the negative thing. Factors of 3 over factors of 1. See where I got that from, Elena? Crystal? Okay. Are you bluffing? What are the factors of 3? What are the factors of 1? So actually these are, wait. Yeah, right. Okay, anyway, 1 over 1 or 3 over 1. So these are our options. Yeah, 20 is kind of hard. Sorry. All right, let's plug in 1 again. I always try 1 first because that's the easiest to plug in. So if I plugged in 1, it'd be 1 plus 2 minus 2 minus 6 minus 3. I don't believe that's it. I don't think that's 0. If I plug in -1, it's 19, I get +1. -1 cubed is negative, so it's -2. -1 squared is positive, so that's -2. And then -6 times -1 is +6, and -2. Does that equal 0? -1 minus 2 is -3, plus 6 is 3, minus 3 is 0, yes. So -1 is a solution. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and divide it out. So we got 1, 2, -2. All right, what I said at the beginning, this one's kind of tricky, and that's because now I can't use quadratic formula yet, right? Because this is the constant x squared, x cubed. I can't do an x cubed quadratic formula. It's kind of tricky because -1 is a double root. I looked at the answer, okay? So you should always check and make sure it's not a double root. Technically, it could even be a triple root. Or quadruple root. That's not gonna happen. Never mind, that's not gonna happen. But triple root's not gonna happen either on this assignment. Anyways, you should check the number again to make sure it doesn't work again. Okay, -1 is a double root, and my leftover is x squared minus 3. Which you might notice that doesn't factor. So we could use quadratic formula, but it'd be much easier just to get x squared by itself since there's no x term. Just add the 3 over. If x squared equals 3, what does x equal? Plus or minus square root of 3. So our 4 quote unquote answers are plus or minus square root of 3, -1. It's not really 4 answers, there's only 3 answers because -1 is a double root. Okay, 20 is similar to that one.